Adrian pressed his lips to my shoulder, then quietly pulled back. He had his moment. Now it was my turn to experience what would happen. The room was steeped in silence, but I felt movement right beside me. They were ready. Adrian leaned in again, his voice low and steady. Enjoy. Before we begin, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Your quick, easy, and simple support really helps this channel grow. It makes a difference. Thank you for being here. Now, ... single quotes, begin. He held nothing back, his body confidently pressed against mine. Deep in rhythm, my breath caught with every movement. The sheets beneath us were twisted, damp, and sticky. My legs were tightly locked around his waist. I didn't want to let go. He kissed me slow, intense, as if surrendering himself completely to the moment. His hands gripped my waist firmly, as if I'd disappear if he didn't hold me tight enough. Everything was building. His focus, his effort, the way he gave all of himself. When it was over, Hag collapsed beside me, his chest rising and falling rapidly, his skin flushed and damp. I stared at the ceiling, my breath still uneven. But deep inside, something was still spinning, still burning. I turned to him, my body aching. In all the right places, again, I whispered. His eyes slowly opened. Tired but soft, he smiled. Give me a minute. He tried, really tried. He kissed my shoulder, traced his fingertips down my spine, turned, and settled between us again. This time, he was slower. His lips pressed against my neck. I accepted him again, matched his movements, stayed with him, encouraging him with my body. Booty could feel it, the hesitation in his rhythm, his breath beginning to falter, his strength waning, his muscles fighting to keep up. Still, I stayed close, kissing his cheek, his jaw, his lips. It's okay, I whispered. He looked at me, his eyes holding both apology and effort. But I wasn't disappointed because I loved him, and he was trying. He was still here, still warm, still close. But inside me, there was something else. Not doubt, not emptiness, just hunger. Not because of any failing of his, but because I was never satisfied. He brought it up the next morning. I was in the kitchen, sipping my second cup of matcha, still wearing his satin robe from the night before. He walked in, his hair messy, his eyes sleep-heavy, but his expression focused, unresolved. He leaned against the counter, steadied me for a long moment before speaking. Have you ever felt like I'm not enough? His question landed softer than I expected. Not defensive or insecure, just open, curious. I looked into his eyes. No, I said. He nodded slowly. But you're still hungry. I feel it. I see it. I didn't answer right away, just stood there, cradling the warm rim of the cup between my hands. It's not about you, I finally said. You give me everything. I feel it. I love it. He stepped closer. But it's still not enough. I looked at him, really looked at him. There was no shema in his voice, just truth and maybe something deeper. Hadn't put into words yet. I took a breath. Wanting more isn't because of any lack in you. I want more because I just do. He nodded again, thoughtful. Then, if there was a way to give you that without losing what we have, would you take it? I didn't move, didn't answer, but I didn't look away either. That was enough. He reached across the counter and took my hand. His fingers curled gently around mine, and even unspoken, I felt it. He'd already been thinking about it 2 days. Later, he came home from work with 5 men I'd never met. No warning, no explanation. They followed him inside as if they belonged there, smiling politely, bowing their heads as they removed their shoes. Their jackets were already half off. In the kitchen, with a half-peeled onion still in my hand, I stammered, Dinner isn't ready yet? It's fine, he replied, dropping his keys. They didn't come for dinner. The 5 men settled around the table with ease, as if they'd done it 100 times before. They didn't speak much, just small comments. Work, traffic, something on the news, but I could feel it. Their eyes constantly drifting to me, not crude, not even bold, just watching. He opened a bottle of wine, poured a glass, and brought it to me. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded, but it was too late. His hand touched my waist gently, held there for a moment, then he leaned in and whispered, "They're here for you." Didn't even have time to react. His words still hung in the air. "They're here for you." When Adrian stepped close and kissed me, it wasn't a soft kiss. Not hesitant at all. Full, anchored, as if he needed me to feel him first. The 5 men didn't speak. They were spread across the far wall, beyond the open kitchen, their faces cast in dim light, curious, focused, unreadable. Their eyes never left me. Adrian's hands moved slowly. One slipped beneath the edge of my robe, the other settled at my waist. He pulled the fabric over my head with practiced ease. Then, with silent certainty, he reached behind me and undid the clasp with a flick. His lips traced my collarbone. His breath warm and steady. I didn't resist. He guided me back against the counter. Every movement was deliberate, unhurried, rooted, as if he wanted this moment witnessed without words. Then, with one slow motion, he peeled away my layers one by one, until there was no soft fabric left between us. The cool marble touched my skin, sending a shiver through me. He pulled back just enough to take in the moment, then leaned in again. His hand slid down my thighs, his mouth following the same path, unhurried, deliberate. When his lips pressed against me with intentional purpose, I exhaled, not sharp, but waiting, slow, measured. He stayed focused, rooted. The pace of his touch was patient, thoughtful. He wasn't rushing, wasn't performing. There was something so honest in his movements, as if he was trying to speak through his presence alone. I held myself, my hands finding the edge behind me. A slow warmth built layer by layer as my breath hitched. Every moment pulled me deeper into a quiet stillness. I wasn't being held, I was being witnessed. Across the room. No one moved, but I could feel their eyes, the weight of their presence in the air. It couldn't be ignored. Adrian stayed close, fully immersed, his rhythm unbroken. His deliberate movements built something quiet but undeniable. And then, without thought, my body arched toward him, as if gravity had shifted. When he finally pulled back, he straightened slowly, his lips brushing my stomach, then my chest, then the hollow just beneath my chin. He turned me gently, guided me to lean against the counter. My body followed his lead, my arms bracing, my back curving. My breath was even but shallow. That's when I saw them. The 5 men were no longer still. They straightened in their chairs. Jackets loosened, postures shifted. There was no rush, no need for words. The energy in the room had shifted, focused, intentional, heavy with silence. Adrian moved behind me, his hands returning to my hips, anchoring me. He leaned in, his pace deliberate. I felt the strength in his grip, the steadiness in his approach. His breath warmed my neck, and the tension between us flared. I moved with him, matched his rhythm, let the pressure build slowly between us. I felt his focus, his presence, as if he didn't want to leave any unspoken part of this behind. I was his, and he wanted them to see it now. And I let him. A soft sound escaped him, low, expected. Then he slowed. His forehead rested against my shoulder. His breath still deep. His hands slid carefully from my waist down my sides. He stayed close for another moment, then stepped back. I remained where I was, grounded, humming beneath the surface. Across from me, the 5 men rose one by one. There was no chaos, no urgency, just purposeful movement. Jackets slid off shoulders, sleeves were rolled, hands adjusted, buttons undone. Adrian leaned in once more, his lips brushing the shell of my ear, his voice barely audible. Enjoy. The first one stepped forward without a word. His hands settled in my waist, and I didn't resist. He approached with confidence, certainty. My body reacted before my mind could catch up. I drew a breath, rising into him as the intensity of his closeness and his pace overwhelmed me. He moved with control, precision, and tension. My arms trembled as my hands pressed into the counter, trying to stay grounded. Every motion sent a wave through me, tightening something deep inside. And then he pushed into me, sudden, breathless. My body tensed, then relaxed, a sound escaping me without warning. I didn't break, I unfolded, and just like that, he pulled back, his presence lingering as the sensation faded. Before I could recover, the next one approached, taller, broader. He adjusted me gently, his hands firm but careful, then leaned in. I gripped the edge again, my knees shaking under the pressure. His pace was different, slower, deeper, more deliberate. Every movement carried weight, drawing the tension out of me in waves. My breath tangled. I was utterly still, held in place by his steady presence. The second wave hit sharper. My thighs trembled, my hands clenched. I reached for something I couldn't name, then let go breathless and scattered. But it wasn't over. The third one came to my side, one hand reaching up to tangle gently in my hair, tilting my head back to meet his eyes. He didn't wait. His movements were tight, assured. My breath came in short bursts, my body shuddering with every rise of pressure, but I didn't pull away. I leaned into him completely, not because I had to, but because I needed to. He pushed into me again, higher, more intense. A sound tore from my chest as the pressure unraveled everything. As I trembled, he steadied me, holding me grounded in his grip as the moment passed. They didn't stop. The fourth one stepped forward, and this time another stood in front of me. He tilted my chin up carefully, kissed me deep and slow, then positioned himself. I took him in completely. He moved with purpose, no rush, no force. As the one behind me found his rhythm, the one in front matched it. Their movements were imperfect, sync one anchoring me with calm control, the other responding to the rhythm I gave him. The pressure built rapidly, unbearably intense. And when it crested, I let go. My voice was low and muffled, trapped between them as they pulled back. The fifth one took his place. My body was already shaking, overwhelmed, unsteady. But I reached for him, matched his rhythm, drew the moment out again. Then, without warning, I felt another presence behind him, not replacing, but supporting, enhancing. One anchored my hips, another gently spread my legs. A third stood close, his touch light, grounding. They worked together, not as a blur of chaos, but as a single current passing through me. I wasn't lost, I was held, surrounded by something steady and sure. My breath choked, my hands slipped. My voice broke as the rhythm between them peaked. There was no rush. They moved with absolute control, and I surrendered to it without resistance. One of them found exactly where I needed him, triggering a response I couldn't hold back. It didn't build slowly. It struck like lightning. My back arched, my mouth opened, but no sound came out. The force of it rippled through every part of me. My limbs went weak, my body melting into the warmth holding me. I wasn't falling, I was being carried. Finally, everything stilled. The tension lifted. Their hands withdrew gently, carefully. The space around me returned to quiet. I stayed there, folded forward, my breath uneven, my skin flushed, my muscles loose. Everything inside me hummed, open, full, and finally calm. Then I looked up. Adrian was still there, across the room, unmoving, watching. His eyes were locked on mine, his jaw tight, his hands clenched. But it wasn't anger, it was awe. And I wasn't reaching anymore. I was complete, Not every man is willing to step aside for another, but some do. And it changes their relationships forever. So tell me, if this was what it took to give her what she needed, would you allow it? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. Before you go, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to support the channel and never miss next upload. Thanks for watching. See you soon.